Okay, so I think this, of course, is the one thing which we sometimes forget about, that the one resource which we all have, which is our most valuable resource, is time. It's very interesting. All of us have only 24 hours in a day. No one gets more and no one gets less. It's a question of what we can do with our 24 hours. I think number two is that, like it or not, time is relative. When you're sitting with a pretty girl, the time passes quickly. When you're forced to listen to a lecture by a boring professor, it just seems to go on forever and ever. I think the one thing we first need to understand is, where does our time go? Because you come back home, you say, what did I manage to accomplish at all? And you first need to identify what your time is being utilized for. I think we need to step back and ask ourselves some questions. Do we make our patients wait all the time because we are always late and we don't care? Or that, you used to play tennis when you were in college, but you've never been able to play tennis anymore because you just don't have the time to do it anymore. Or you tell your patients to exercise, but they look at you and smirk because they can see that you're obviously obese, so who the hell are you to tell them to be exercising when you can't follow your own advice for yourself? Or what's worse, have you missed your daughter's school play, or the fact that your son came first in a race because you were too busy and you didn't have time? I think the tragedy is all of us have made these sacrifices in our life, but we don't need to do that. We need to find answers as to how we can manage our time better. The big problem, of course, is you will not find these answers in your textbooks, because this is the kind of stuff which we should have been taught, but unfortunately were never taught, so we need to learn the hard way. And I think time management is a skill. I think we need to emphasize that matters have become much worse. It used to be a lot easier a long time back when, the doctor would be in one place, all the patients would come. Things have changed completely. Because of your phone, doctors are expected to be on call all the time. Anytime a patient thinks they have a problem, they expect you to be able to answer. And even worse, often your time is not your own. You're either going from, clinic A to clinic B, you're stuck in a jam, or there's a patient who's crying, and there may be 10 other patients waiting outside, or you get stuck in the operation theater, or there is a complication. And I think the one thing we kind of forget is, a lot of people feel doctors are very well paid, and I'm not saying we're not. But the trouble is, you're a daily wage earner. You only get paid on the day you work. Take a month off and see what happens to your bank balance. And I think this, of course, is the biggest problem. We have no sense of work-life balance. I think partly we're a little masochistic about it, about how many hours we can study and how many hours we can spend in the operation theater and, how many babies we deliver and stuff like that. But I think you need to ask yourself, at what price are you burning the candle at both ends? This is what happens. The biggest tragedy with burnout is we don't even realize we've burnt out. We take it out on our children, we take it out on our staff, we take it out on our spouses, we take it out on our patients. We end up paying the price for all this, and it's high time we need to step back and say, it doesn't always need to be this way. This, unfortunately, is the way most of us see our lives to be. And we actually make it worse for ourselves. We say, I'm sitting in one clinic, but I see only 3 patients. I want to see more patients. So what do? I open a second clinic. So now I have 3 patients plus 3 patients, plus I'm spending 2 hours commuting to get from clinic A to clinic B. So have I actually added any value to anyone's life? We need to stop and ask ourselves these questions. But sometimes we become creatures of habit. Now that you've started 2 clinics, even though that second clinic is really not worth your while going, you don't even have the courage to shut down that second clinic, because that's going to be loss of income again. So I think we need to kind of become a little smarter about what we're doing with our time. The trouble with time is, quite frankly, this. The most valuable person in your clinic is you, but the biggest bottleneck in your clinic is you. Please understand this. And I think once you understand this, you'll figure out ways and means of being able to solve this. I think the good thing is, all these are very solvable problems. The reality is, doctors are bright people. I mean, none of us would be here if we weren't smart and we weren't able to crack our textbooks and learn whatever needed to be done. We're hardworking, we're dedicated, we're motivated. We need to apply some of that intelligence to what we do with our own lives. First question you need to ask yourself, quite honestly, is, at the end of the day, how have you spent your time? Were you effective? Were you happy at the end of the day? Yes, I accomplished a lot. Or was it incompetent? Did you waste most of your time just, either waiting for patients to come or stuck in a traffic jam? And rule number 1 is, you need to track your time. You can do it with a pencil and paper you want, or you can actually do it with there are lots of apps which will help you do it. Just keep on putting markers. From 8 o'clock to 8:30, I had breakfast. 8:30 to 9, I had a bath. 9 to 9:30, I read the newspaper. I went to, whatever. None of this is hard to do. And over a period of a week, you will be surprised on how many useless things you waste your time. But you need to make a diagnosis first. I think you also need to understand your own personality and what your strengths are. Some of us are larks, which means you like getting up in the morning at 5 o'clock. You like that 2 hours of quiet time where no one else is awake. You can think and you can be productive at this time. And some of us are owls. We hate getting up before 8 o'clock in the morning, but 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, we are quite happy to party. Whatever your strength is, you need to decide when you're maximally productive and make the most of it. The good thing about being a doctor is you're your own employer. So you can pick and choose exactly how you want to set your time schedules. So what are the basic principles? A, set your priorities, and you need to set them. You're not a clerk, you're not a babu, you're not an employee. You're the one who employs yourself. Second is delegate responsibility, because that 24-hour you can't expand. But what is the stuff you can do to get someone else? I'm going to go through all these one by one. I think if the only thing you learn at the end of this entire lecture is what is the most important word for time management, the answer is learn to say no. The trouble is, as you get older and more senior, you're invited to 50 different things. Come and give a talk, come and attend this board, join the Rotary, falana, dhikana, there's no end to it. And it's quite flattering when people ask you to do it. And then you realize, what did I accomplish at the end of this? And there are lots of things you're going to be able to learn to say no to. Finally, organize your work area. And the last principle is don't waste time, and I'll come to that. So you need to classify whatever and these are all very personal classifications. You have to do it yourself. So what are the things you do? One is do it right now. It's whatever it is. It could be just answering a phone because your wife is called up and needs to get some kind of answer. Or do it soon. That's a letter needs to be written and it has to be done by the end of day. So you're now deciding how your tasks need to be done. This is actually surprisingly easy to do. Put it off until later. Sometimes you'll be surprised if you decide not to do it. Someone's asking you for something and then you forget about it and they also forget all about it. So you never need to do it at all. And finally, lots of things don't need to be done ever. So just because someone asks you doesn't mean that you need to take ownership of this. Give you a simple example, email. I think all of us are swamped with email and sometimes creates a lot of stress. So many emails, how am I going to answer them? And there are 4 simple Ds. For the vast majority, D is for delete. You don't have to answer every email. Lots of emails are rubbish. I'm not even talking about spam emails. Just emails are lots of for your information. Do the emails. Some of them are quite easy. Patient's asking you a question about something or you need to just give a quick yes or no answer, finish it off. Sometimes it's not something you need to do. Like suppose a patient needs a medical certificate. Then you can forward that email to your secretary or your assistant and get it done. And finally, this is actually the most important thing. There is a book by Stephen Covey and he talks about what is important and what is urgent. And all of us are so focused on fixing what is urgent, we forget about what is important in our life. And a lot of that stuff is, no, this is important, but I don't do it right now. I have a separate folder in my Outlook which says, okay, these are things I need to be looking at. And then maybe I catch up on it, maybe every Sunday when I have time to think about some of these things. Delegate is important, as I said before. Most important thing. Try to, you're the most highly paid person. You don't have to do everything yourself. Can you find clever things? And you can use technology very cleverly. As you've seen some of these medical programs, you don't have to handwrite each prescription. It's possible to press a button and print it out. It's not easy to delegate, let me warn you. The trouble with us as doctors is we're all obsessive, we're all compulsive, and we all think we're the best. And we all think that no one else can do as good a job as we can. So the moment we delegate to someone, obviously that person is not going to do it exactly the same way. And then we find 50 different ways, and all assistants are idiot, and all nurses are stupid, and all receptionists are incompetent. The fact is they have a different way of doing it. Their way may be better than yours. There is a learning curve. It takes time to teach someone. It takes time to delegate. But trust me, this is time well spent. Because once you've done it, the amount of time which will open up on your calendar for the future. So the rule is simple. Suffer some short-term pain if you want some long-term gain. And of course, the worst thing we do is, ye karo, ye karo. You don't tell her what you expect. You don't tell her when you want it done. You don't tell her when it should be completed. And then she does her best and she doesn't do a good job. And then you sit and shout at her afterwards. Really not helping anyone. You end up demoralizing everyone. And there are lots of these, what I call SOPs, or standard operating procedures. You don't even need to invent them. You can easily copy. All this is stuff which people don't reinvent the wheel. All of it's been done. Just copy, paste, adapt it, and then just follow it. It's much easier than, even if you get new people in your clinic, they know exactly what needs to be done. So you don't need to keep on telling them exactly how to do things. As I said before, this is the most important thing. And at some point you have to say, am I going to learn something from this? Am I going to enjoy it? And if the answer is no, say no. Quite honestly, you'll be doing a favor to yourself and to someone else. That someone else may enjoy doing what you don't want to enjoy, so why not give him a chance? But your time is precious. Please guard it. That's my only request. My desk looks like this. It's actually a good desk. I know where all the stuff in my mess is, but the fact still remains it's a mess. That's a different issue, but it's my mess. But it's important that whatever your personal work area may be, your professional work area can't afford to look like that. It's important to simplify. There's so much stuff we have. I think sometimes we forget how privileged we are. Like it or not, your top 1% of the global population, just the fact that you're sitting in an air-conditioned room, and there's so much stuff we can give away, and we need to give it away. And really, if you haven't used something for 1 year, we're all pack rats. Ye use nahi kiya hai, but who knows, I might need it and I might need it. And you'll be so much happier if you get rid of it. Try it and see, you'll be surprised. It'll make you feel good about yourself. And there are lots of underprivileged poor people in India who'll be very happy with your third-hand smartphone, for example. Give it away. Tumhara bhi bhala hoga aur uska bhi bhala hoga. There are lots of tools which are available to help you manage your time better. So as I said, there are time tracker tools, so you can track exactly which time of the day you're most productive. So for example, if I want to blog, I prefer doing my blogs late in the evening rather than early in the morning. No one disturbs me, time's quiet. You need to find what works for you. There are actually apps available to help you sharpen your focus. So if you need concentration for 30 minutes or 40 minutes, you can download these on YouTube. You can go to Google Play Store. They're basically playing music at the back, like Mozart or Beethoven, to help you concentrate. This is very important. You get all these to-do lists. These are all free apps. I'll show you. You can just track your tasks and goals for the day, for the week, for the month, for the year. And finally, there's this tool to help you find everything. I pretty much lose everything, and I need some kind of better way of doing it. So this is simple. Again, it's free. Try it out. It's called Evernote. Anything which is digital, and the reality is everything can be digitized today, you can put up on Evernote. And the great thing is you can search it wherever you are, on your smartphone or whatever else. So you never need to worry. You can put up your will online, you can put up your bank accounts, everything else. You never need to worry, "Arey, kidhar rakha, kahan choda tha, kiske paas hai?" Because you always start fighting with your spouse. I gave it to you, you can't find it, where is it gone? Just dump it here in your digital lockbox. To-do lists are very helpful. So you get up in the morning, say, these are the 5 things which I need to do. And of course, when you finish it off, yes, I've accomplished something with myself. 2 important things with the to-do list. There will always be delays. Make sure you budget for these and keep some time for yourself. These are great apps. Again, they're free. One is called AnyDo, and one is Do It Tomorrow, which I really like, because after you do it, you scratch it. And if you don't do it, you just push it off to doing it tomorrow. That works well. This is very helpful. I actually saw someone here do that. He took my business card, but he gave me back my business card, but he scanned it in. So, he's got it and he's going to keep it. So, full marks. I think this is something we all need to do. We spend so much time on our phones that we even forget that we waste so much time. Biggest time wasted in the world, no question about it. As long as you're aware of it, I think that's fine. So, the rule is simple. All of us only have 24 hours, but it's your behavior which you can change. And you
Sir, only 1 minute
change,
left.
yes, sure. You need to change your behavior along with your priorities. It takes time, and all of us are learning, and we'll all keep on getting better at this, so don't worry. Time is basically doctoring time. This is the time we need to focus on. This is what we enjoy doing. This is what we were trained to do. Delegatable time is time you can get someone else to do it for you. The downtime is what really gets you when you're stuck in a traffic jam, when a patient is late. And I think this is stuff which you can fix. You can make good use of your downtime. For example, you can listen to podcasts. You can read a book like a Kindle on your smartphone. There are lots of options which are available for you. Finally, don't ever forget this. How many of your waiting rooms look like this? Please be kind to your patients. Their time is as valuable as yours. Don't waste it. Okay, thank you.